Everything we have to continue to work on it now. Their name is Paul James. I host News every morning.
And the Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, my dear brothers, sisters, ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow Americans. Welcome to the East-West Show. And this is one of the shows that survives the whole thing throughout the pandemic, with my friends supporting me, with my audience supports me, with my team. To each and every one of them, I owe a very deep appreciation. The slogan is that together we win. Only by staying together we will win. Now that looking around, people are distancing from each other, that's physically. However, to the heart, I believe that we're getting even closer. With me is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director of Hollywood. Also, he's a political commentator who I rely a lot. Even though sometimes we argue to make a point. Other than that, we are very friendly, we're very peaceful. I like him, even like his enigmatic smile. How about that?
Enigmatic smile.
Yeah, enigmatic smile. How about that?
Do
you like that? Do you like that term?
I like that term, and I hope the girls who watch the show like it too.
Of course. I call that kind of smile the enigmatic, like the one with Da Vinci. with the Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa.
Mona Lisa. All right, back to the point. Speaking of Mona Lisa, speaking of Da Vinci, there were times for quite a bit, until recently, people enjoy being with each other, right? Men and women, old and young, enjoy being together. Right? Sometimes as a human, we show our affections to each other, right? When you see the dogs, all right, when they come together, they kind of touch each other. Even pigs do that too. Am I right?
Yes.
Right. So we are human, the human animals. Why are we not doing that? Why are we restricted from doing that? Especially 2 years ago, and it stretches all the year of 2018 with Judge Kavanaugh with his nomination. There was a huge time that we spent on his quote-unquote sexual misconduct. Finally, he succeeded. He was now one of the judges. He was taken, he is now one of the judges. Now with Mr. Joe Biden, former vice president of the United States, he is facing the same thing. Probably I have to ask you your opinion, where you stand on this issue, please.
I actually feel sorry for Joe Biden because his political survival is getting more and more problematic with every passing day. The allegations of sexual assault won't go away. And I'm asking you, where were those allegations during the 8 years he was vice president? Why on now? Are they a desperate attempt by the Republicans to destroy his nomination? That's what I think. Because Biden has been accused of being bribed. Maybe Biden's accuser has been bribed. Because why would she wait so many years and now all of a sudden come up with that old story and upset a nomination which is already on shaking grounds because there are the questionable dealings of his son Hunter in Ukraine, which are also a shadow on his nomination. And then there are the problems of the his obvious senility, because his cognitive reactions doing interviews and so on don't seem to work. But nevertheless, I think it's a shame that in politics in America you always resort to the lowest common denominator, namely sex.
Okay, let's separate the politics with criminality. How about that?
I didn't say anything about criminality.
No. Let's talk about the misconduct. Let's talk about the sexual misbehavior. How about that? Right? We separate that from politics. How about that?
You can't separate it from politics because it's constantly being used.
Well, I don't care if it is finally it shall go to politics. I want just to talk one by one. Can I please?
You
block
may,
by
but
yeah, block by block. My point is that if you are a woman, you are misconducted sexually, what would be your response? Let's talk about in a measure, all right, from 0 to 10, right?
But we are talking about the Biden case, which
I
is
know.
reason. We are not talking about Me Too or something.
Can you let me finish, please?
These subjects have
be so
been
kind.
exhausted.
Can you be so kind?
Yeah.
Let me finish, please.
Okay.
I am talking about on the 1 to 10 scale, on the 0 to 10 scale, right? That states your mind reflection, the 0 to the strongest being 10. So, do you feel the strongest day 1 or 29 years later? The strongest.
On day 1, of course.
Day 1, right?
Yeah.
In other words, the next day or the very day when this person was misconducted sexually, this person should give the right, correct response to what she had been treated, right?
Right.
Right. So, not 20-something years later.
27 years exactly.
27 years later. So, on the 0 to 10 scale, right now she is at the tail end. Am I right?
Yes, and it's obvious that money must have exchanged hands, because why would she, at her age, now come up with this kind of stuff, which is really no longer relevant?
How old was she when she was first misconducted?
I don't know. She was, I think, in her 20s.
Early 20s.
Yeah.
Early 20s, right? Okay. So she did nothing all the 27 years until now.
Yeah.
Right. Now, just now you mentioned something of bribery, something of money paid. Did you see any money? Did you?
No, I didn't see nothing, but I mean, it seems in America problems are always solved with money. And why would you, when you are 50 now, about 50, come out with an embarrassing situation for yourself? Because it does not speak very good for yourself if all of a sudden you come out of nowhere and you're blaming an old man who is already in trouble. What is the purpose? I mean, do you think you become famous? Okay, you're on a few talk shows. I'm sure there has been money offered and says, go forward, do this. And unfortunately, America is so confused, and politics are so corrupt, and the masses are so brainwashed, that this is great to distract from other things which are so much larger, especially now where we are facing the plague of a century. Our whole fragile system is breaking down. And now they're still coming and resorting to that cheap trick. And this is not, I'm amazed that they have nothing better to do.
I agree with you, and I support your statement. My dear audience, that doesn't mean that I am a supporter of Joe Biden. I'm one of Joe Biden. No, not at all. I'm just talking about the logic. The logic being unfit in this case. The logic being doesn't work. If really somebody wants to make a point, though, I would recommend somebody need to go check this woman's bank account. If there's any all of a sudden an input of certain amount of dollars whatsoever, well, other than that, 27 years, you're looking into a deep well of nothing.
By the way, you see, these things, for your information, are handled with cash, not with checks or wire transfer.
Oh, I see. All right, okay. These things normally handle with the cash. All right, good way to handle. And I recall about 2 years ago with Judge Kavanaugh, the same situation. I don't think this time anybody will succeed within that kind of approach. So stay with us.
Everything continue to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English news here in the morning.
And a golden angel award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, my loved audiences. Welcome back to the show Jack Chow on the East West with my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, a director of Hollywood, also a political commentator. I like his take a lot. Sometimes he really hits the nail on the head.
Thank you.
We're talking about not a partisanship, no politics at all. We're talking about logic. Speaking of logic, though, this is a democratic country, right? Under this beautiful flag, we have this beautiful system called democracy. Does that mean what we have talked about is included in the freedom under the system of democracy?
No, it can't.
That means that I can say that you touched my butt 10 years ago.
Yes and no. I mean, yes, you have the right to say what you want, which is great.
Yeah.
But if a society is morally bankrupt and resorts to this kind of allegations, then it shows you that the policy and the politics are also thoroughly corrupt. America desperately needs a third party, a third opinion. Right now, America is a dictatorship of the elite. It is not we the people against the elite, and both sides of the aisle are only concerned about how to keep their power. They don't care about the we the people. Yes, we the people are being used as instruments and manipulated and brainwashed to serve the elite, because there's no third party.
I'm talking about this. If this goes on, it may represent a certain culture.
Yes.
Does it look that way?
Yes. It's the American way of life. It has been established and carefully orchestrated by the elite, because the elite does not suffer from, the elite doesn't care whether you're president or me or anybody else, as long as the president has popular appeal and marches and does what is good for the elite. They don't care about the Navajo Nation in Arizona and Utah, where the family income is about $12,000 a year. $12,000 a year.
Where?
the Navajo Indians on the reservation, they have a yearly average income of $12,000 a year. They are right now hit very hard by the coronavirus, because the coronavirus hits the most poorest and vulnerable elements of society, naturally. In nursing homes, in people in housing situations where a huge amount of people are cramped into a small apartment, etc., etc. It's always in anything here, and we don't see this. You don't see poverty here. Yes, if you have your eyes open, you see tents everywhere, homeless.
A question. Quite a while ago, about the Joe Biden, right? There was a investigation, they say launched by Donald Trump to investigate Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, for whatever happens with the Ukrainian government.
No, Ukraine.
Ukraine government, right? Okay, now, so why don't they just pick from there? If they really want to crash Joe Biden, though, they will go from there to use the Ukraine story.
First of all, my friend, most of Americans don't even know where Ukraine is, number one. And secondly, this is very complicated because in the end, it implicates the elite. That did not happen just because of Hunter Biden and his father. That happened because with the consensus of the people who are the elite. And you see, Bernie Sanders had a chance to establish a third party. However, he lacked the courage.
Yeah, he backed off, right?
Yeah, he lacked the courage to break away from the corrupt Democratic Party. Now there are millions of people who have voted for him, who have spent money, donated, and they have no place to go. They will not vote for Biden. They will not vote for Republicans, of course, and they just will not vote. And that plays very good into the elite, because the elite will, of course, has their group who will vote for them because they're happy, they're brainwashed, and it's a beautiful situation. So that is America for you.
So after all, we all know that is politics related, is partisan related.
Everything.
And it is targeting the incoming election.
Of course.
Incoming election.
And on top of it now, this year is the most vulnerable year of the 250 years of existence of America. Because the virus is destroying everything, what we knew and what we enjoyed and what we sort of lived a certain way, that's all gone. It's all over.
I found it very, very interesting that the word sexual conduct or sexual misconduct could be used either ways. Number one, it could be used by the Democrats go against the right, which is Republicans, such as in the case of Judge Kavanaugh, and it can be also used by the right to defeat the left, which is in the case of Joe Biden. So, in other words, the term of sexual misconduct, which is the Me Too, I call the Me Too movement, is a political tool that can be used by anybody.
Of course.
Am I right?
Of course. And you see, yeah, and it's used to be brainwashing the Americans in every way. I mean, look at the publications, look at television, look at the internet, sex. Kim Kardashian waving her tits around, wiggling her ass. This is America. Nowhere in the world you have it to that extent. This is the American way. So, and the virus pandemic is creating an apocalypse of never before dimensions, which will completely change the American way of life. Completely.
Yeah.
You watch and see. And the resistance against the orders from the government to continue the lockdown and not go to beaches, etc., shows that most of the American public does not have any discipline. Did you see some of the demonstrations last week in Michigan?
No, we'll talk about that a little later, okay? So let's talk about this. We're supposed to be very friendly people, right? Including men and women. Now that with the virus pandemic of the virus, we learned to not shake hands, no hugging, right? Keep a distance of at least 6 feet, right?
So we actually have to move.
We actually have to be
more.
From each other. Right?
But anyhow, if it is our
and then no touch of woman, no touching of any of the opposite sex on any part of the body. So that we learn. All right. Mm-hmm. So human are such that instead of being gregarious, we are decentralize ourselves. Does that mean we are facing a culture of doing that?
Probably, because if this pandemic, as now some people say, will go on for years, then that social attitude will totally change too. But you see, I'm more concerned about economics, because economics dictate what happens in a country. American economics had been very good, or better than many places. It slowly deteriorated because of the greed of the elite, which are more and more focused on profit and greed than on looking at what happens to, there are people here, right here, not very far from you, who have no food today. Nobody talks about it. But they will come and talk about it, because at one time, people suffering exceeds the fear. See, now it's a very interesting situation right now, and this election year makes politics very complicated, because they can no longer work with in their usual way, and therefore these accusations are totally outdated.
I mean, whoever created this thing, call it a philosophy, call it a culture, will come back to them to hit themselves.
Yes.
All right. Okay, my dear friends, and we want to make one thing clear, that regardless of where you stand, regardless of which party you support, I don't recommend this kind of culture. I don't like this Me Too movement. If you are a woman, you are being misconducted, say something day one. Right? As a first responder, I believe our first responders will give you a right way in handling those quote unquote bad guys, rather than letting them, on the loose for 27, 29, 30 something years, and all of a sudden think, to make a big deal. All right, let's take a moment out. We will be back right away, please.
Called James. I host English news every morning.
And a golden angel, a wolf assembly.
Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow Americans, welcome back to the show. I'd say good morning, good day, good afternoon, depending where you are. But one thing for sure, that in the pandemic, in the peak of the pandemic, I call it the peak because we do not still see much of the twilight out of it yet. Right? In the peak of the pandemic, we really have to stay safe, stay strong, and another thing, we have to stay sober-minded. With a sober-mindedness, I want to touch another issue. That's what we see in Orange County, Huntington Beach, of the protesters. With me today is my dear friend, Mr. Chris Nebe, director of Hollywood and a commentator to the American politics. So back to the show. You're welcome to the show.
Jack, it's not only the beaches. The beaches, in a way, you can understand because the people are coped up and they need the sunshine. And it is also being said that plenty of sunshine may help you to create a certain immunity against any kind of, or helps your immune system. What is worse and what is the real danger which I see coming, and we talked that before on your shows, there is an underlying catastrophe of civil unrest in the making. Last week in Michigan, hundreds of people demonstrated at the Capitol. They have their own Capitol, like in Washington, they have their Capitol, demonstrated against the lockdown. Some of them came up fully armed, bulletproof vest, 2 guns, you know, you stick them here, you pull the gun, machine gun in their hand, the worst white people, the trash of this country, armed to the teeth. And that shows you that the great danger, that the fact that America is morally bankrupt and now is going to be financially bankrupt, I can envision an uprising which will end up...
I have this picture showing them with the machine guns.
Yeah, which will be a bloody gun battles and also will drastically increase racist tensions.
What are they protesting against?
They're protesting against the right to do what they want. The American way, you know, freedom of speech. I'm sorry?
Such as?
To go and go to shopping and go where they want and social distancing and all these as per their attitude, infringements on their rights of being American.
Do they realize, do they know, or are they aware of the fact that why they are staying home?
No. They don't want to realize that because they don't realize a lot of things. This is the American way. As I said before, no use to talk about...
No, that's not the American way.
Oh, yes.
I disagree.
Okay.
Because the government made it clear, right? You have to stay home for your own protection.
That may work elsewhere, but it doesn't work here because they say we have the right to do, we are Americans. It doesn't matter. And now, in addition to this, you will have impoverished masses, which are, you know, we have a huge unemployment after only 2 months. Now go another 3 months. And you will
We have
see
30 million now.
actually 38 million. The
Oh,
the
that's
number of
fast.
30 million is being disputed by people. You know, everybody is disputing everything, and I have that believe that these numbers are official. I don't believe official numbers anymore here. Not
That's
only
sad.
here, any place. Because the government, you know, I understand the government is facing a situation. Look at the European countries. The European countries have a more or less functioning healthcare system where they have pretty well under control the thing, and these are smaller countries and they are not as wealthy as America, and they have managed to control the thing. Here, it's totally out of control.
Yeah, of course.
In comparison to anywhere else in the world, the pandemic is the worst here.
I believe, is it a hard thing to understand that you are staying home not only as a measure to protect yourself, but to protect others?
For a sensible person, it's not a hard thing. But for a person who is constantly saying, I'm American, I can do this, I can do that, that is not understood.
Of course you are American. Because you are American, you can do this, but you can't do such.
Okay, why don't
There's
you
always a limit.
So why don't you tell it to them? Go and ask them.
No, I'm talking to you now.
Yes, but
I'm talking about you to you now. You keep saying the American way.
yes,
The American way includes the sober-mindedness. The sober-mindedness that we keep you home for protection for yourself, right? We're not letting you out. Some say, I heard the interview of a register over one of the girls at the Long Beach. Says, are you afraid of the virus? She says, no. Are you afraid if you get affected, you're dying, you will die? No. What an answer. But if I were there, I would ask the third question. The third question is that do you know to keep you in the house is also a measure to protect others, because you might be contaminated, you might be infected that you don't know. You are going out or letting you to go out, meaning to let you to infect other people. So for the sake of yourself, for the protection of yourself, you better stay home, and for the sake of others and the protection of others, you stay home too. Is this, my problem is that, is this such a hard to teach basic?
obviously it is. And the answer of this girl clearly shows you that completely focused on themselves attitude of the Americans.
Yeah, all right, okay.
Completely.
Self-centered.
As you look at politics, America is always blaming everybody. Now they're blaming, why didn't China tell me earlier? China told early enough, and even when it was already, when the thousands were dying in Italy, Trump said, nah, yeah, America.
That I don't agree. That I reserve. That I don't agree.
What, you don't agree with me?
I don't agree with you. I strongly do not agree with you. And we may talk about it another day.
I'm sorry, didn't you see the news? When
No. I'm talking about today. We're talking about what happened in the United
States. With
States.
this attitude that with this me attitude. As long as it doesn't come here,
I agree with you on the me attitude.
As long as it doesn't come here, it's always the other people. It's always around you. And that's the attitude of this girl that demonstrates you.
Yeah.
And the people with the guns out there, of course they are not every American, but there are a strong group. And the And for example, they are voting for Trump because Trump will say, yes, keep your gun, do this.
It is a
Look
moment.
at Canada. There was one mass shooting, and in 1 week they stopped, and forever all assault weapons are banned in 1 week. Here, there is mass shootings day after day, and for years, for decades, the discussion about this has been going on, and it will never happen because it is that faction of America who will not allow it to happen. This is the American
I would
way.
say at this special moment, though, it is time for everything to pop up, right? So be
But
careful.
it's too late.
Be careful. All right, my friend, we will take a moment out. We come back to continue right away, please.
We have continued to work on it now. My name is Paul James. I host English News in the morning.
And a Golden Angel Award ceremony.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show with my friend, Mr. Chris Nebe. I'm having some good time. All right. Even though at some point, we do not always get agreed upon each other, but we let the differences remain. We try to get the common ground. The common ground being, in this case though, we have to understand it's a different issue. There are two different issues. One, you do enjoy your freedom given by Constitution. And on the other hand, by Constitution, you have your responsibility to protect others. Don't you think so? So, to make people stay home is a measure not only to protect yourself, but to protect others. Why? I can understand the part is that why couldn't they understand the double edge of the staying home?
I don't have an answer for that, but I can tell you this all comes out also of the frustration of the fact that we the people have realized that the American dream is over. Not only is America morally bankrupt, but it's also financially bankrupt. And we the people are starting to realize that America will never be great again. And that in cahoots with the virus is now breaking open, coming out in force. And it comes out with a statement of this girl, it comes out with a statement of gun-tooting people.
I agree with you 50%.
Good.
The first 50% in recognizing how serious the problems are and how difficult the time is that we're in. And the part that I disagree with you is that America will come back, America will be strong again. Because we have the reserves, we have the resilience, we have the system which is self-correcting. We have the ability of self-revisioning. We will come back and come back strong. That's where I stand.
Maybe they give you a medal for being such a patriot, but I think the reality is far distant. And as long as I see people like this, and mind you one thing, if these people in Michigan would have been black people with the guns, they would all have been arrested by the police for threatening, disturbing the peace. I guarantee you.
Say it again, please.
If the people, they were all white people in Michigan with the guns, if they would have been black people, they would all have been arrested by the police for disturbing the peace. I guarantee you. You have no idea, my friend, about what is going to happen here soon, because the racial tensions and the death rates of, especially in the groups of people of color, are exploding. You have no idea what's going to happen. We the people are powerless, and they will pick up their guns, and they have more guns in America than people. Do you realize that? There are about 330 million people in America, and they have more guns in private hands. And there will be an uprising here, of which you have, and after that uprising, maybe your America come back again.
You seem to have raised another issue. If those protesters happen to be black, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that
Or if they would have been Chinese, or if they would have been Latinos, if they would have been people of color, the police would have come and said, you're disturbing the peace. I guarantee you. And you can read the media, and that's what they're saying. I want to remind you one thing. The French Revolution started, there was no virus. The virus was inequality. And at one time, overnight, the people woke up, got up, and said enough is enough, and the guillotine started to chop off the heads of the elite. Don't underestimate the masses. They may be docile, they may be nice, they may take all the punishment which are being given to them day after day. But all of a sudden, and the coronavirus could be the trigger point to change America forever. Not only America, the same thing is happening in Europe, in other ways, everywhere.
That I really have to take time to consume.
Yes,
right? To
me
digest.
too. I thought about it for a long
And
time.
what I know right now is that we have more hopes than problems, right? And all these people, I mean, the white guy whatsoever in Michigan, who are protesting in such a strong way, such a severe way, strongly armed, even machine guns. I really want to talk to them. I really want them to make them understand that they are not allowed to go out for their own protection. Not only that, but for others.
They will laugh at you, and you know what they will tell you? Go back where you came from. That's what they will tell you. These people will tell you, go back where you come from.
I feel I take that as an insult. I take that as an insult.
As an insult?
Yeah.
Of course, but that's what will happen.
As an insult.
I guarantee you. That's their mindset. You can sweet talk the whole thing. These pictures which you have speak for themselves. I tell you, my friends in Europe, they say, oh my God. They all call me, they write me, they tell me, my God, are you not afraid? I said, yeah, it's about time to leave.
Now, are you leaving the United States?
No, but I mean, not yet. But I mean, if this continues, I don't want to be a target.
You don't want to be a target.
And I'm not an American, so I'm not an American citizen, so I have no reason. I have a nice place to go. I can go back home.
There's a piece of news that in one of the protests, one of the Costco shoppers, he wears the Ku Klux Klan hat.
See?
The KKK.
You see?
And neither the shop authority nor the cops stopped him. He just walked in and out free.
Where was it? On the beach here?
No, Costco.
At Costco?
In Costco shopping.
Here?
Yeah, here in the United States. I got a tail of the news, but it was announced by AM 640.
In California?
In California. You go find out yourself. The news might be there with a Ku Klux Klan hat.
So you see, You see where I'm
You know
coming
what I'm
from?
talking about, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
You
kinda
see
like,
where I'm coming
mm.
from? So you see that my fears are not without justification. Now you're even confirming it, because this is just the beginning.
All right. So, if you happen to be Donald Trump, though, what would you do to stop this whole thing?
First of all, I don't want to be Donald Trump. And secondly, this is the virus, because now we are talking about the virus. The virus is the initiating factor, which is laying open what's wrong here.
The virus is here.
No, yes, the virus, because I'm surprised. The most thing I'm surprised is how this virus has shown how fragile our society is. It's so fragile. Everything is broken. People have to, everything will be different. And after the virus, and if you say America will be great again, it will be different great. Real estate will go down. Rents will be halved. Everything will be different. Because it's, yes, if it happens, great. Because it's going to be a shedding of a lot of things which we are accustomed to, and luxuries which we don't need, and moral issues which we don't need. For example, whether some politician touched a girl 27 years ago will be the least of our worries. The least. And it should be the least of our worries now. We should find, and there is nobody around, because neither Trump nor Biden are able, from their personality, or to save this country. Neither one of them. You need a total new approach, which is very difficult.
Are you saying that there's no cure?
No cure? I don't think so, because you see, I think you mentioned it earlier in our discussion, there is no cure for AIDS has been found. But AIDS is, there you know where it happens, if you have sexual contact,
Oh
etc.
my God, I thought I was going to do a very good show today, but I feel bad after hearing from you, though.
No,
You
you shouldn't feel
discouraged me.
bad. I think the most important thing is, in shows like this, to face reality and tell our viewers
Okay, my
what is the situation.
big brothers and sisters, go find out yourself. I believe what they are doing is wrong, and I believe that America is coming back, will come back, and will come back strong. So we thank you for watching, and to my friend Chris, thank you without handshaking.
So, ni hao yun.
All right, good. Next time.